Welcome. I'm out here in the shop. You hear noise in the background, it's a fan going. I got some stuff to talk about the channel and just stuff going on. What I'm doing today, just make a video. It's 27 degrees outside and I don't have four-wheel drive, so I'd like to go fishing. It's cloudy, but it's cold, about 10-mile-an-hour wind. And without four-wheel drive, I get the boat in, I may not get it out if the ramp ices up. So I've got a couple older videos I could post that I haven't posted yet, but I'm saving them until I can't get out. I'm going to be getting out here about the middle of the week. So, but I got stuff I got to get done. I got orders. Didn't know I have the DL sinker stuff, the dragon weights and line rattles. And the dragon weights, you know, not saying their name, but the floats, you know, I'm getting these ready for spring. They're already, some of them already at, I think Reading Farms has it in Mexico. I think they have some, maybe. I don't know if they've sold out yet or not, but they'll have them at the Hobby Hut at the junction. He'll have them this spring, and then so will the hunt corner in Monroe. But I've been getting these ready to paint. When they come in, they're not real loud. Tell the difference when they come in, and this is what they sound like when they come in when you rattle. Well, everybody wants the loud rattles, so I modify them, and when I say modify, I add more rattle to them. And they're as loud as, hear the difference, it's quite a difference between the two. That's what they sound like when you get them. When I get them, when I get done, they sound like that. That's a big difference. But individually, of course, they're unpainted when I get them. And then you can hear it. It's a big difference. I'm doing that, also getting some sinkers made up, and getting ready to start dipping and hanging them, and just all that fun stuff to do when it's cold outside. You can't get out on the water for whatever reason. But a couple things going on. First and foremost, I'm doing that, of course. Next, today's Monday. Happy New Year, everybody. And Wednesday night, day after tomorrow, at 7 p.m. on Panfish Nation. I'm going to be their guest on there. We'll talk about basically crappie fishing, and usually we get a little off topic when I was on there last time, but mainly crappie and panfish, and Mark Twain. I'll be talking about that as well as some of the things I've done to the boat and whatnot when I redid the boat. So we'll be doing that. But yeah, so I'm just out here tinkering in the shop. Brandon on there, looks like Braden. Hi, Braden. If you got any questions, that type of stuff, you can ask me if you want. I'm just going to kind of let this run and talk while I'm doing this. What I'm doing is I'm adding the rattles add more rattle to these. How I do it is I drill a small hole and then add BBs to it. I've experimented with 1, 2, 3, up to 10 more BBs in there, because they have a knocker in the back of them. Call them a knocker. This is a hair spook blank's what it is. I think so, Braden. I'm not sure, buddy. I see so many people, and if that's your last name, I doubt your last name's Pro. It might be, but when they come in, they have a knocker in the back of them. Try to get this up there. That's all it is. It's a little knocker and a chamber in the very back. And where it does rattle a little bit, but everybody likes, to say that the other ones are battle rattles that Baitcast makes. Well, these are bigger than a battle rattle, quite a bit bigger. I've got some here. No, I don't have them out here. Yeah, I do. These are rejects. These are the same as a battle rattle, same size. You can hear them, but they're the same size, but for whatever reason, like this is a chrome one. But when I epoxied it, I was experimenting with a new epoxy, and I didn't like the way the epoxy turned out. But you can see the size difference. And I've actually got some battle rattles in my box. But you can see they're quite a bit bigger around, and they're also quite a bit longer than a battle rattle. You see the length difference in them. They're another 1/2 inch longer than a battle rattle, and they're just as loud since I added them. That's what they sound like. Oh, okay, yeah, Brandon, Steve's nephew, your Steve's nephew. Yeah, but that's what they sound like when I get them in, just that knocker in the back. But after you add that BBs, just add BBs to it. 4 seems to be where it's the best. They get a lot louder. And then believe it or not, when after I paint them with airbrush and then epoxy them, they get even louder. And start doing these this fall. Nobody had these. I had the smaller ones I done in Hobby Hut had them, and they're towards the end of the season in August, and he took a dozen packages just to see if they'd sell, because he didn't have anything like that anyway. Nobody around here sells them. The closest place you can even get any of this style for catfishing was down at Reading Farms, and he went to mine. So he carried my sinkers and the regular line rattles and stuff, but nobody had any of these. And I've been asked, because I made them, painted them up, used them, just trying different stuff, figuring them out, and see if it was cost effective to actually make them. I knew it would be for myself, but if I could do it good enough to where I thought it was worth selling and putting out there for the public. And it turned out pretty good. They turned out real good. He had 12 packages, and they were all gone in 14 days. So they went quick. And I need to go down and see the old boy there at Reading Farm there in Mexico, because he had 30 packages, and that was in July or the end of August. And he didn't call to reorder yet, but at the same time, he's so busy with hunting and stuff. Unless people are coming in there just for fishing stuff in there, the traffic, he's probably gonna wait till spring anyway. So I am not gonna bother him during hunting season and stuff when he's busy with all that. And I'll check with him, of course, in the spring about the middle of March, first part of March. But yeah. So, but that's what they sound like when they're done. That's what the knocker. So it's quite a bit louder. Everybody likes the louder ones. So I go ahead and put the beads in there after I figured it out. And I trial and errored it, throughout the fall and whatnot. But I didn't have these until after I actually shut down all my guiding. And I think these are going to be a little better. They got a little more flotation to them. And price-wise, it's not bad. It's a lot cheaper than buying the name brand stuff for the big guys. I can do this stuff out here in the shop during the winter when I'm not busy cleaning carpet or the guide trips. Gives me something to do, make a little extra money. But yeah, that's how this all got started. But like I said, these are factory rejects. I'll grab one here that is painted. My box of goodies I have. Well, here's some that are painted. Here's one that's painted, what they kind of look like when they're painted. And they got 3D eyes on them. And like I said, they get a little louder when you actually paint them. Here's your battle rattle, them things. I like the Mad Cat rods. So I got these. This is a battle rattle. Like I said, they're a little bigger than a battle rattle. Not much, but a little bit bigger. Just a little bigger. I don't know if you see that or not. But yeah, and here's battle rattle, what they sound like. And there's, so it's about the equivalent of what these are. And they do, you know, mainly solid colors, but and I can do any color pattern as far as that goes. But yeah, like I said, first thing coming up here is Wednesday night of the new year, and that's with Panfish Nation on YouTube at 7 o'clock Wednesday night, day after tomorrow. If you want to tune in, ask questions, just it's like kind of like a video podcast. And but I'll be doing that. That's the first thing going on this year. Other than that, I've just been going through the catfish gear and stuff and getting it all cleaned up, stored for the winter. I don't do much catfishing in the winter. Hey, Mark. There's Mark with Catfish Weekly. It might be, I guess it could be Lyle, but Matt, when am I going to get some? Oh, that's, okay, that's Matt. That's Wild Willey's OCD. That's the man there. He's been gracious enough to have me on his. I've been gracious enough to be on his pro staff. Lucky enough for the last 2 years. And oh, it's Lyle. Lyle, I'm letting them know. Panfish Weekly. I'm gonna be on there day after tomorrow, 7 p.m. I think it is, isn't it, Lyle? Be on there and talk crappie fishing and this and that and whatnot. But yeah, so I'm just kind of tinkering out here in the shop. It's not really a highly technical program up here in the shop doing this. It's more of a finesse thing. If you've ever done it, I use plastic welding rods. This is ABS plastic is what these are. And you drill that small hole in there and just a little, like a soldering iron type thing. It gets hot. It works perfect to do this. And just weld these up. Of course, when you get old, you gotta look over top of your glasses so you can see it close to your face. You gotta be kind of careful. It's more of a finesse thing than anything. Just kind of weld up the hole. Get the hole welded up. Then smooth it out. And if you let it set too long, it will melt through. Just kind of smooth it out so it's about the same shape. And after that's done, it goes pretty quick. I can do about 40, 50 of my iron. Then after I get that on there, it looks something like that. Just fills in a little round hole that was on there. It gets hard pretty quick. Now I just take a little piece of sandpaper and then just smooth it out. That way, when you paint it, you don't even know it's there. Yeah, 7 p.m. is what it says. I was pretty sure it was 7 p.m. Hey, Tim. Yeah, just take this sandpaper and just smooth it out just to make sure it don't have no big wrinkles or anything like that in it. I buy these blanks. I tell you, you can get them different places. But I actually bought the first ones off of Amazon, and then I started getting them off shelves. That's where I was getting the blanks. And they got all sides. They got these up to 9 inches long, and they're about that big around. But they're about $12 a piece for the great big ones. But I know there's some guys that they call them, they like to use them donkey baits is what they call them, where they're, you know, half of a silver carp on the Mississippi and stuff, especially down around the Alton area down in there and south. Them bigger baits and something like this. Even the Demon Dragon Brutes, the great big the big ones they have, won't float them great big baits. But I don't know, to me, and then when you get done sanding on it, I don't know if you can see this or not, if I do that, baby. It's just smooth. You don't even know it was there. And then you got one with a little more rattle to it. But yeah, you get them great big off shelts. They're a little more expensive on shelts, but it seems like the quality's a little better on these than on shelts than it was, you know, on Amazon. But on Amazon, when some of them they leak, and you know, which after you paint them and seal them, they're not going to leak anyway. And there's all kinds of different epoxies you can use to seal them. What I use is a tabletop epoxy. It gets really hard and resists scratching and stuff. And you can take them, throw them on concrete. I found them on concrete, on rocks, and everything else to show how durable they are. And I don't have any problems with them ever break. You'll break the lure before the epoxy comes off of them. But yeah, this is kind of what I'm doing, and then I'll do this for an hour or so. Do up about 20, 30 of them, 40 of them, something like that, whatever I can get down in there. Just depends on how steady my hand is doing this. Because it gets pretty. You want to be smooth, but you can't hold it very long in one place. You'll melt right through. But you gotta get it hot enough to where it actually welds into the plastic, you know, that it's made out of. If you don't, it'll just come out. But like I said, it goes pretty quick. Have you tried hot glue gun? Here's the problem with hot glue. Here's the problem with hot glue. Hot glue, yeah, it'll fill the hole, and once the epoxy's on there, the epoxy's hard. I mean, it probably worked, but if I'm selling these to people, I don't want them to leak, is the thing. So I'd rather take an extra minute and a half on each one and just do this. Cost wise, it's tit for tat. I mean, you could use hot glue, anything to plug that hole. But I'll show you here when I get done with this one why I don't do it. Okay, depending on how you rig these, grab some line here. Depending on how you rig these. Okay, some people, and I do this just because if this little ring that you tie onto gets pulled out, you know, if you just tie here and then tie on the other end, okay, you're dependent on however strong this metal, these little metal rings are inside that plastic. Okay, I've never had one pull out. And I mean, I've caught some 40 pounders this year, you know, and a lot of them 20 to 30 pounds. I've never had one fail. And I only use 30 and 40 pound line anyway. So as long as it'll hold, it won't come out on 30 or 40 pound line. My line is going to fail before these little round things. Now what a lot of guys will do is they'll use a leader line. And they may only have 30, 40 pound line from the rod to where their sinker is, whether it be on a sinker slide or like a Carolina rig with a clip on a 3-way swivel. But what they'll do is they'll go in the front one, and then they'll take it and they'll go back out the bottom. And then to hold it in place, they'll put a rubber band on it. Or some people even use electrical tape, just put a little bit of electrical tape around it. Okay. That's fine, and then you got a solid line, and you can adjust how far it is, you know, by just pulling on it, pulling on your line, on your leader. I don't like that line being kinked. Some people even go through the middle one down here to, you know, to go in one and around. They'll come in in the center like that, to that center one, and then they'll go down out the bottom one, and then put their hook, you know, put their hook down here on this line, and then they can still move it up and down. They use like a rubber band or a piece of tape or something to hold it. And that's just a fear of these things pulling out. I don't use heavy enough line. I'm a finesse fisherman for pretty much everything. I don't try to bull in a china closet or anything. So chances are, and from what I've done, what I've noticed, my line will break before it'll pull these little metal things out. I don't even know how much weight these will hold. I tell you what, let's see what the one of them will hold. And if you just hot glue it, and then you got that much tension on there, I'm afraid it'll weaken it with just hot gluing, to where when you weld that, it's just like a metal. That's going to be just as strong because it's welded to it as the plastic itself. So let's see what I got that I can tie on there. And of course, I got all kinds of line rattles. Do I have paracord? Boy, cut the end off of it here. It's too big around. Just take some of these strands out of it. I got all kinds of weight. All right, I'll do that. I'll take a few of these strands. Probably get 4 of these strands through, but I bet it breaks them before it does that fishing. It's surely big. I mean, this stuff's supposed to hold like 1,600 pounds or something. Let's see what we can do. I didn't even get it in there. I don't have any 100-pound line. Yeah, I might have. That ain't gonna work. Trial and error. Oh, what do I have? You know what? I got this. It'll work. Trout line cord. With a hook. Hook ain't gonna fit in there, but the cord will. Got this box right here that's empty. Got a bunch of 2-pound weights here. See what it'll hold. Ouch. Hook sharp. Let's cut this. This ain't easy to do. There we go. All right. That ain't going nowhere. All right. Got a bunch of 5-gallon buckets, 2-pound weights here. £20. I know it'll hold that. Let's back up here. Just put it there. See, this is what happens when I do live. I set stuff down and forget where I set it. Alright. Still see me there. 20 pounds in this box. Put this on there and see what it'll lift. I've never done this with one of them. They claim they'll lift, they claim over 100 pounds. I just got a hold of the bait. This is 20 pounds. It's got that not any problems. It's off the floor by a foot. See where the failure point is. Well, let's add. Let's add another 10 pounds. There's 30. Yeah, 30, fine. I mean, bouncing it. No problem with that. Get line to break before it does. Well, let's add another 10. Another 10. $40. I need to make my thing a little shorter. There it went. So it can't do 40. So 40 pounds broke it. That's 40 pounds of lead dead weight. And it pulled out, I don't know if you can see that or not, that little deal in the back. It pulled out at 40 pounds. So what that tells me is between 30 and 40 pounds it pulled out. I may start tying mine a little different when I'm going for bigger fish. I may end up doing mine through and through. The 40 pounds. That's got me curious. What's my competitions do? I wonder if it can lift 40 pounds. We're gonna find out. I'm not gonna say the name brand on this one, but this is one of the ones, one of the name brand ones there. I'm gonna see if this can lift 40 pounds. That'd make me cry to do this. These things are about $6 a piece. But I won these at a tournament, so I ain't got no money in it. But I'm curious if it'll hold 40 or not. It does. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it picked it up. That's pretty cool. Now it is epoxied and everything. But I'm curious what the epoxy one will hold. Did I just get a bad one? I'm gonna grab the epoxy one, try it. There's one that's epoxy. It will be stronger with epoxy on there, I know that. But we'll give her a try and see. Alright. Here we go. £40. Nope. It failed. The lid lifted. It did lift it, but I couldn't pick it all. I couldn't get it off the floor very far. Broke. But I'd say about 35 pounds is their limit. So, I definitely time through and through. I mean, it is a bass lure. It ain't designed, they aren't designed for catfish, like all of them. But yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, to go through and through. Exactly what I'm thinking, Lyle. I was amazed that other one, that major name brand one, didn't do it either. But it did bend it. It was starting to come out. So, yeah. I know these here, these are the ones that are the same size as the major brand. They got a stronger, they're a little stronger. Curious what it does. That's what I've used all summer, was these smaller ones instead of the bigger one. There's one, the bigger one of the two. It's just a little bigger. I've got some 5-inch I think I'm gonna get. They're actually 5-inch, true 5-inch. They're a little bigger around. They're about the same size as, I won't say the manufacturer that makes them and sells them, but they call them the Brute. They're same size as those, but they're a little more expensive. I'm trying to make stuff for people that they don't want to go out and spend, you know, $10 on the end of the rod, you know, every time they throw it out. Some people can't afford that. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. And then of course the sinkers. I've been working on those. Yeah. I've been busy with these, making them, packaging them up, all that stuff. Here's some of the smaller ones. Look at all these. These are different ones. It's solid colors. That's a gray one. And blue. Here's pink. We got black and white. Black. And then you get some of the, get a little fancier. These are the purple and white. See them or not? Blue eyes on those. Wow. These float about the same as a 2.5 inch peg float. These, I actually tested that out. They float the same thing. As your 2.5 peg. As a 2.5 peg float. They do float the same. A little more actually. Even though they do way more course than a peg float. The big ones float the same as a 3-inch peg float. That I did test when I got them, just before I even started using them. But then we got, here's yellow and red. You can see how they kind of, and of course, solid color red ones, solid color yellow. I mean, it's just I hate. Here's one that's got scale pattern and a little red on it. And these are epoxy. The eyes are glued on. It comes sticky on the back, and I don't like it. So I super glue the eyes on, and then actually epoxy over the eyes, so the eyes will not come off. And here's some red. You know, red with white belly and black on top. You know, just. I get bored doing the same one over and over. So I don't have, like, here's some blue with white. Some blue and white. Gold and black. Got black across the back. splatters. Yeah, I mean, there's all colors you can imagine. There's some green and brown. There's some fluorescent, green, two-tone, pink and fluorescent yellow, green, kind of blue-green, yellow and black. This is just all kinds of them. And I got the big ones too that I've done. These are all small ones. So it just gives me something to do when I don't want to get out and freeze my butt off or it's too slick. I'm making these, Lyle. I started doing this. I started making them this summer. They're so damn expensive. Excuse my French. I went to buy some, and for 3 of, let's just say the smaller ones, 3 of them, of the smaller ones this size, was $15.99, and it's just $5 just for that float, you know. And if you want the bigger ones that are made, you know, like I said again, I'm not going to throw brands out there, but they call them brutes. You know, they're $21 for 3 of them. I got to looking around. I can buy the blanks from Shelts for like $2, a little under $2 for the big ones. The small ones, the blanks are about $1 a piece. So now are they the same? Probably not. The quality of them, I'm sure, is not. I just showed, you know, 40 pounds. The ones I'm making, the end came out. This one here, which is one of the name brand ones, it picked 40 pounds up off the floor. The ones I'm making, it picked it up off the floor, but I got about this high off the floor, and I went to kind of do this, and when I went to do this, it just snapped. It pulled it out. So, but if you're going through the eyelets, you know, it doesn't matter. It's in color on them, to me, they don't have to look like a real fish. You want them to hit the bait, not the float. You're using them more for the flotation and the rattle. It does the same thing as a peg float with a line rattle. You know, you get these line rattles, which I got a bunch of them over here, but here's one here. Yeah, you got these line rattles. You take a peg float and one of these line rattles, and it does the same thing. If you want more rattle, just add another rattle. You know, I sell these for, you know, 50 cents a piece, you know. If you want them in bulk, I can do it cheaper. Just last time I bought them, I had to buy like 5,000 when I bought them to get the price down on them. But so I sell them wholesale. And then these, the ones I'm doing painting, you know, I'm wholesaling them out. You know, if you want, you know, wholesale them out, you know, I wholesale them to my retailers that I have. I wholesale them out to where they're selling them for like $12, you know, $13 for 3. So it saves everybody a little bit of money. I make enough to cover my cost of making them, and I make a little bit, but I'm not making a lot. I mainly do it. It gives me something to do out here, and I can pass that savings on to people around here. You don't have to order them online. You're buying something local. I make money off of them, enough money off of them to where it's worth time to do it. Sitting out here in the shop, they're just sitting inside watching TV, and winter's hard on me anyway, so anytime I can get out and do something, I like getting out. I mean, that's the whole purpose, main reason for building this was just so I had a place I could go out. Exactly. You know, for what, and I'm not knocking the big boys, the big brands. I'm not knocking that at all. I don't want to compete with them. You're not going to find my stuff in Walmart. You're not going to find my stuff in Farm Tractor Supply or anywhere like that. you're going to find it at little local bait, mom and paw type bait shops. You know, you're not going to find it in Bass Pro. You know, it's just like the jig makers out there. There's thousands of guys out there that make plastics and tie their own jigs, and they sell a few of them. You know, and it basically, I sell enough of that stuff, the sinkers and of course I do raw lead sinkers and stuff too. I sell a lot of sinkers, but I sell enough of it that it's worth doing, and I make a little money on it. But at the same time, you're not paying $9 for 4 2-ounce sinkers at a big box store. You know, if you want 2-ounce sinkers, I'll send it $3 a pound. I've shipped out hundreds and hundreds of pounds of sinkers over the course of all the years I've been making. But and I shipped them to Alabama, Georgia, Texas. I shipped some up to Delaware. They went everywhere, you know. And I just ship them priority mail. I fit 15 pounds and ship them for like $7 or $9, you know, before it needs to be a bigger box, and then the shipping goes up a few dollars. But yeah, and the Dragon Sinkers is the main one that got me started on it. I started making them, some pink ones. I started making these loose. Lyle actually had these in his hand. He can contest this. I think Tim might too. But shipping's crazy. But you know, the sinkers I make, buy a Dragon sinker online. You get them for under $3, you've done something. I mean, a 2-ounce Dragon sinker, a lot of times it's $4 or $5, depending on where you're getting it from. There's a few cheaper now. I started doing this about 3 years ago, and you know, when I did it, you couldn't find a Dragon sinker you wasn't gonna pay $4.50 for 2 ounces. You know, now there's some cheaper ones. They're similar to what this is. Some of them's got a swivel at the top and heat shrink and all that. I don't mess with that. It's got a hole in it. Put a clip. If you're using a Santee Cooper or a sinker slide, you just clip it right on. I ain't messing with it. Well, that's so when it gets hung up and you pull, if your sinker's hung, the sinker comes out and you don't lose your hook. The hook's a cheap part. Unless you're using, you know, the Dragon rattle floats, one of the major ones, then yeah, I might let the sinker go before I would do that thing. But the way most people fish, they're using a peg float, and this is the most expensive thing on any of your rod when you're using a peg float and a hook. And they work great because your float is just enough so they set like this on the bottom. So when they go over stuff, they don't get hung up and you can drag or drift. I've had some guys from St. Louis that last 2 years they've asked me to make them, and they want them 8 and 10 ounces. And they were going somewhere, I don't remember where it was now, but they wanted some 16 ounces. And I got the stuff to make them for them. And they like how they're not overly long, because some of them you get will be, you know, 2 feet long, and they don't have to be that long. The idea behind that Dragon sinker is you want it to reach the bottom enough to hold down whatever you're fishing with on the bottom, but you don't want it to hold the bottom. You want it to slide, not like a regular sinker. But yeah, I know Lyle's had them Catfish Weekly. I sent some to them. They gave them away for quite a while on there. I mean, I have people come by the shop. They'll get a hold of me and say, "Hey, we're going to be in the area. We want some of them sinkers, you know." And I'll sell them to them at wholesale. Or you can go to Hobby Hut has them. The sinkers, Hobby Hut has them. Hunt Corner has them. Reading Farms has them. Can-Dam General Store, I think, still got a few. He was about out last time I was out there, and he's gonna wait till spring to reorder. But like anything, if where you go to any one of them 4, and they're out, tell them that's why you came in. You know, let them know that's why. If that's the only thing you came in for and they don't have them, tell them that's the only thing I came in for and you don't have them. Because I know they don't carry any other dragon weights at all. But this time of year here, Mark Twain, the cats pretty much go dormant. I was fishing Saturday with a friend. I took him out, and we went crappie fishing, and there was a couple guys. I think they were guys. They were so bundled up I couldn't tell for sure. I know one was a guy. The other one might have been a woman. But they were fishing there off the point, little Indian, catfishing, you know. And I'm like, boy, that's a cold day to be out here doing that for no more than you're going to get here. We were there for a couple hours, and I'd never seen them pull one in. I just don't catfish this time of year. Out on the lake. If I want to catfish, I'll go down there. I'll call Lyle up, make him take me trimming. Because that's hot right now. I got a couple friends that live down there, and one of them called me up and goes, "You fishing a tournament?" Twisted Cat had a tournament at Lake of the Ozarks Saturday. And I've gotten old enough, my check engine light comes on. And I had to go have some tests done Friday, and I was on bed rest for the week for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I couldn't get stuff rounded up and ready to go to that one. Now, Dad bought, if you didn't know, if you like the page on Facebook, Northeast Missouri Angler, there's a picture on there where I'm holding crappie and I'm in a Pro Cat. Last summer, Dad, we started fishing tournaments a couple years ago. I'd always fished them for about 8 or 9 years now out here at the lake. But we fished a couple, there were bigger tournaments, and we used my boat. He had a 17.5-foot one, but it just didn't, it wasn't a big water boat at all. And my 1860 at Sea Arc, it does pretty good, and it's bigger water, but it's, you know, you get 4-foot rollers out there, you need a big boat, you know. And we fished a tournament a year ago, 2 years ago, April, this April coming up. So it's been a little over a year and a half ago. And it had 30, 40 mile an hour wind, and it had 50 to 55 mile an hour gusts. And we went out to fish it in my boat. We pulled up around the corner. We couldn't get to where I wanted to fish because there was 4 and 5 foot rollers on Mark Twain. And I just looked at Dad and I said, it ain't gonna happen. I said, it ain't worth dying for, you know. We launched it, and we got there about 6 o'clock in the morning. The takeoff was at 7. And a friend of mine that I know fished a few tournaments with him, we were the first two there. So we were standing outside. It was 34 degrees in the dark about 6 o'clock. And the wind was blowing. I mean, it's cold. And this is April. I think it was April 3rd or something. And we were sitting there talking. Well, he had a big deep V front end on his boat. And we were talking, and I'm like, he's like, where are you going to go? You know where you're going? I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to go. We were going to go to the same general arm of the lake. And he went ahead and put in at Route U. We went in, and they allowed trailering, so we went around to South Fork and put in. And we were both going to go up Middle Fork. And I went underneath South Fork Bridge and got about 100 yards from making a corner, and the wind was coming straight out of the west. And I could look around the corner, and Middle Fork, main part of it, it runs east-west. So that wind had no block coming out through there for about 2 miles. And then it just does a little kind of this, you know, not enough to really break up the wind. So that wind's blowing across that water for 2 miles. We got about 100 yards from making that corner, and there was a bluff we were running along, West Bluff. So it was just as calm as can be, not a ripple on the water. We got about 100 yards, and I seen them 4 or 5 foot rollers, and I looked at my dad, and I said, it ain't happening. And we just hid behind that bluff until about 1 o'clock. The wind died down enough, and I went back in South Fork. But anyway, we're sitting there fishing, and about 9 o'clock, my phone makes a noise. I pick it up, and it's him. It's the guy I was talking to, Thomas. And he tacoed his boat. The front end of it, if it was, you know, you got a boat, you know, and the hull, the front end of that boat's like this, you know. It comes up, and then it's shaped like that in a V, kind of like that. That gives you an idea. Front end of the boat. It took that boat. The boat's like this, and this is the front. And it was like a lunge style boat, or the Tracker Pro V's. if you've ever watched Steve Douglas on here, that's the style boat he has, that big boat, that big front end. And I mean, it's designed for big water. And it took that boat and did this. And it busted the consoles and the windshield off of it, shoved it back into their legs. I mean, it literally picked the nose of the front up just like that, just folded it right at the consoles. And I was like, "What did you hit?" And the only thing it said was "water" was the next text. And what was amazing was the boat didn't sink. They actually drove the boat back, but he had to get a different boat. It was totaled. I mean, so after seeing that, Dad decided that it was time for something better, and he said, "We're going to get a big boat." And he was like, he's seen some of the guys that rolled in, some of the guys that I know, at the tournament, and they're in the Pro Cat, 240s and the big Excel boats that are basically same as a Pro Cat, just G3 makes them Excel. But so in March he ordered a brand new 2024 Pro Cat 200, and so we got that to fish out of. We fished the tournament in September, and he hadn't had it very long. I think it's probably only got 25 hours on it now. We got that in April. We're going to go to Decatur, Alabama, and we're going to fish the Sea Arc Invitational. That one I know we're fishing. We're going to fish a few of the Central Missouri tournaments that Shane White puts on, and then we're probably going to try to do one or two Twisted Cats this year. And I'll try to film at them. Some of them it's easier to film at than others, or even live stream them. Like out here at the lake, I tried live streaming a couple out there, and the signal out here I don't get a good enough signal to live stream fishing. So I film out there, but it seems like the places I get a good enough signal to live stream, I can't film because they're conservation department lakes, and Missouri Department of Conservation does not allow you to film for YouTube on any property owned or leased by the Missouri Department of Conservation. They changed that in July of 2022, 21 or 22. They passed that law, and you got to get a permit, and you got a 30-day advance note, for approval, and the permit's $500 a day. It's only good for the day and times that you specify on the application. I'm not paying a bunch of money just to, to make a video on a channel that isn't monetized. I don't know if I'll ever monetize it, but I'm getting close to that option. Almost 1,000 subscribers. I need watch hours. Even if I get 1,000, my watch hours are a little down because I wasn't posting as many videos as normal because I was rebuilding my boat and everything there for a while. So I basically had a two-month stretch there where I was just doing a couple live streams pretty quick. But yeah, that's what's going on. Hell, I've been talking for almost an hour. I'm not getting much done. I should have all them done. But yeah, and then hopefully about March, we have warms up enough, I'll start getting out chasing cats again. As soon as I get to where I'm catching them, then I'll start guiding again. I'll open guiding trips back up. I had some really good trips this year guiding. The spring, catfishing in the spring on Mark Twain for 2023 was really good. A lot of bigger fish. I probably caught more over 20 pounds than I've ever caught on the lake. Blue cats. We even caught some channel cats. We had one tournament. We had a 10-pound channel cat in. That's a big channel cat for this far north, and for Mark Twain in general. Most of the time, catch them in Twain, they're about, from this long up to about 24, 25 inches is what you mainly catch. But we caught some 6-8 pounders on guide trips in the spring. A lot of 20 to 25 pound blues. Not very many short blues this year in the spring. Most of the spring fish we caught, if you caught 5 blues, 3 to 4 was going to be legal. And it was like that all the way up until the spawn in June. The best trip I had on the lake as far as for catfish was a guide trip we did May 28th. And I remember the date just because it was such a good trip. They took home 7 gallons of catfish fillets, and 4 of them was flathead. We had a 44-pound flathead, had a couple in the 20-pound range. They had a few blues in the 20-pound range, and then some channel kid. And it was a heck of a night. And especially since I start them trips in the middle of summer about 8 o'clock, mainly because of the heat, and they wanted to go at night and to catch flathead. And at midnight, we only had 3 fish in the boat, 3 channel kid. Everything happened between midnight and 2 o'clock. So it was 2 hours. It was a ball for 2 hours. And it's just one of them nights. It just everything clicked all of a sudden, and we were catching fish no matter what we did. Now spawn started. I fished a tournament this following weekend, which I think was the 6th. Ethan Chapman puts on a couple tournaments every year. It was an overnight tournament, and like I said, we caught all them flathead stuff on the 28th. So June 6th, my wife was with me. I went and got the same bait I used the weekend before on that guide trip. We went to the same general area because the big one they turned back, and we went to the same area and we sat there for 3 hours. And I caught one channel cat about 20 inches long, and caught a blue cat about 22 inches long in 3 hours. I looked there and said, well, the spawn started. So we left that area and went to an area where I knew I could catch channel cat. And we sat there and caught channel cat, and that's all we could do was catch channel cat. And I think there were 17 boats in that one, and only like 7 boats weighed fish. There was a lot of boats that just didn't even have a fish, or they were channel cats. The spring tournament that Ethan put on, the benefit tournament, Memorial Catfish tournament he puts on in the spring in April, there was guys that if they were able to get back in there with that wind, I mean, they had 60-pound weight, on 5 fish. And I know a couple friends of mine had, 40, they were in the 40s and they didn't even place, I mean, there was some weight. And there was, I'd say, 3 of the top 5 teams from the spring were there at that tournament in June, and they didn't even weigh a fish. I mean, the spawn started. And the lake, we had to have no water last year, really, over winter. We had no water in the spring. We had no water now, even. The lake's very low. It's been low. Spawn started. I fished a little bit here and there, but for cats, but not very much. I mainly just crappie fish. But in July, when I knew the spawn was off, we caught fish, but no size. I mean, we didn't catch, I think, from the second week of July until the end of August, I think we caught 7 keepable blue cat is all we caught. There was one trip we went out, we caught about 15 fish, but every one of them was 22 to 25 inch blues, and then a couple channel cats. So, and then I had the worst trip I've ever had was in August. I took a friend of mine and his son and his nephew, and they went, and last year they went twice with me. He went twice with me. We caught big fish, and a lot of them. We caught 5 fish is all we caught, and nothing big enough to keep, And we had like one channel cat that was like 4 pounds. But they weren't gonna mess, so they didn't want to keep one fish, so we turned it back. The blues we caught were 24, 25 inches. They got to be 26 to keep on Mark Twain, of course. So, they wasn't able to keep any fish. But that was the worst trip I've ever had as far as with clients. I mean, I had one a couple years ago. They called me and they had a big rain. And I posted a video of my wife and I fishing. We were catching them just one after the other. And they called me like 2 days later, and I had a trip already booked, and they called me canceled at like noon, which was fine because Mark Twain, when we get big rain, that water runs in. it's just a feeding frenzy. But then after about 24 or 36 hours, the fish are gorged and they just don't feed for about a week. And we'd had one of these rain events, and I had a trip already booked, and they called me and canceled about noon. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. Well, anyway, I called a buddy of mine. And I said, hey, you want to go see if we can catch some fish? He goes, yeah. So we ran, buzzed out. We fished until we got out there about 1:30. And we fished until about 4:15 or so, and we never even got a pull. And it was the same place where my wife and I were 2 days earlier, and it was just fast and furious one after the other. And I'm like, these fish are gorged, they're not going to feed. I'm glad that trip canceled. On the way home, phone rang. It was a couple, and they wanted to go. I told them, we didn't have any luck, And they're like, yeah, we understand. I'm like, I don't know if I can get you some key. I'm sure we'll catch some fish, but catching anything we can keep big enough to keep is going to be an issue. And they said, we understand it's fishing, not catching. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I want to make sure. I'm just telling you up front whether or not I'm on fish, what I think it's going to be like. And I don't think it's going to be a bang up night as far as that goes. And they still wanted to go, so I took them out. Like I already had everything because I had it canceled, so I already had everything ready anyway. So I came home, got the boat on a charger for a little bit. Luckily, I had lithium batteries, they charge fast. So, but we went out. We still caught, 12, 14 fish. It's just every one we caught was blue cat because the channels were full from feeding, and every blue cat was in that 20 to 23, 24, 25 inch range, And that would have been the worst trip I'd had, and that I'd ever had as far as that goes until this one this year. But you're not guaranteed to catch fish when you go out there, but it's nice to be able to catch some fish and take home. That's the only bad part. And with the new rules of the 26-inch length limit they put in effect last year, this last summer was the second year of it. This will be the third year. You're starting to see a lot more smaller blue cat because there's a lot more than 20, under 26-inch fish in there, because before they put that length limit in, a lot of times I would keep those 22, 23, 24, 25-inch fish, and those were eaters, and now you got to turn them back. So if you keep one now, it's going to be 7, 8, 9 pounds, in order to keep it. And until that majority of them fish get big enough, to where you can start keeping them and go out there and catch enough of them. There's days you'll go out and you may catch 30 fish, but never get one big enough to keep on the blue cats. I posted one video, my wife and I, we caught 26 blue cat in that running water that day, and we didn't catch a single keeper, we had 20 channel cat, nice channel cat we took home, and which is our limit for 2 people, 10 apiece. We had them in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then I've switched over everything to just target blue cats, and 26 blue cats 2 hours later, and not a single keeper in 4 different spots, So it's going to happen right now. I'd say it's going to be at least another 3 or 4 years before you're going to be able to go out there and consistently catch a keepable blue cat, and then you're going to have to know what you're doing. You're not just going to be able to go out there anywhere and catch them. You're going to have to use your sonar and find them, and in early spring and in late in the fall, check them channel edges out. Wintertime, deeper holes, unless it's a bluebird sky day and you happen to find them feeding, chasing shad in the shallows. But and in the summer, the heat of summer, nighttime, under the thermocline, make sure you're shallow in the thermocline, of course, because there's no sense in fishing in the summertime. If that thermocline is, if you're fishing somewhere in the thermocline's at 12, 14 foot, there's no sense in fishing 30 foot deep. There's no oxygen down there. They're not going to go that deep. They'll go below that thermocline layer and grab something if they're feeding, then they'll come back up. But if you watch in the summer when that water starts getting hot, and you get that thermocline, a definite thermocline layer, all the fish will be kind of just right on that thermocline or above it, or it might be I see a couple below it, but they're just going down there and come back up. Most of the time they hang out right on that thermocline layer. So you want to fish the shallower water during the summers. But most fish I've caught, I don't know of any fish I've caught out the lake that have been over 15 foot deep. The biggest fish I ever caught at the lake was 3 years ago. It was 70 pounds, right at 70 pounds, and I caught it in 3 foot of water. The 44, probably the biggest one this year, was in 6 foot of water, and it was over 40. So almost all the 20s. I had one trip in the middle of the day in the spring, and it was around noon. We were fishing 2 foot deep, and we caught 2 of them between 20 and 25 pounds. In 2 foot of water between noon and 1 in the bluebird sky day. You know, it's a misconception that catfish are always in deep water. They're not always in deep water, especially once the water starts warming up. They'll go and they'll find holes to winter in. They want to be where they're comfortable. So, and down deeper is more consistent temperature, of course, than up high. Now in rivers, that's lakes. Rivers, that changes a little bit. You don't get a thermocline layer if you got current. So that changes. Then they can be down deep in a deep hole in the middle of summer. But they'll still, don't think for a minute, even in a river, they don't come up on them flats, on them points, around them islands and stuff on a big river like the Mississippi or something, or Missouri. Backside of them wing dams where that water swirls around, you got scar hold and it's a sandbar behind it. Don't think for a minute, especially at night, that them fish won't come up there and 1.5 foot, 2 foot of water chasing bait fish come out of that deep hole, because they will. But yeah, crappies fishing. I start crappie fishing probably consistently about September. When I got the boat back at the end of September, I guess it's about the middle of October. And started off, you catch 20 little ones to get one 9 inches or bigger. Now that's changed. Crappie fishing on Mark Twain is pretty good. Keep in mind, it is Mark Twain, and we are on the down cycle, on the bottom of the down cycle, I call it. Mark Twain, to me, has always been on a cycle for crappie. It goes up and down. You'll have a year that it's really good. You catch 12, 13, 14-inch crappie pretty consistently. And then the next year, they get a little smaller. Next year, they get a little smaller, and then you have a year where you struggle to find 9, 10-inch fish. That's where we're at this year. You catch a lot of 8.5 to 9-inch fish. Right now, even normally this time of year, those little ones are gone. You don't even see them. And then next year, I think it's going to be a little better and a little better. To me, it seems like it's on a 5-year cycle. 5 years from real good, 5 years to the hardest year, and 5 years back up. And it just does this. And 2019, 2020 during COVID, you could go out there. They had to open up. They had all but Route U and 107 shut down. Well, the ramps were full. The crappie fishing was so good, they eventually opened up the other ramps, even though there was COVID. But that was an awesome year. The next year was even better. I don't think in 2020 and 21, I don't think I caught maybe a handful of crappie under 10 inches. Now we're in that year where it's a little bit. You go out there, Saturday, 45 minutes, I caught 15 fish, all of them 10 inches or bigger. I had a buddy of mine with me. We fished for 2 hours to find before he caught his. Keep in mind, he'd never fished over live scope before. He was a minnow and bobber fisherman, and he's new to live scope. He bought a Lowrance Active View or whatever they call it, and he wanted to see what the difference was between it and Garmin. He only had it out once, so we went out and he was using live scope. So he was learning a lot, and it was definitely. He learned a lot in the time we were out there, but it took a couple hours to catch his. We had a few small, we had a few in that 9.5-inch range for the day. Over 30 fish, we probably had 4 or 5 in that 9.5-inch range. Everything else was 10 to 10.5, 11 inches, 10, 11 inches. We didn't have anything over 11.5. We had one about 11.5. But I wasn't going out targeting just big fish. I mean, 9.5 inches and up, I was fine with myself. I'm eating them. I don't keep big ones anyway over 12 inches. 12 inches and up, I throw back. So, I go out, get my limit. It's cold. I don't want to sit out there all day long for when I can go 2 hours. I'm putting the boat back on the trailer and heading home. So, that's pretty much it. Just thought I'd post something because I'm not gonna fish until probably be Friday next weekend, as long as we don't get a bunch of snow. They're calling for a chance for us getting like 20 inches or something. I've seen around the 10th or 11th. I don't know. We'll see. I've only seen that a couple times in my lifetime where we had that much. But if we get any snow at all, it's going to shut me down pretty much unless Kenny calls me or something, you know, or whatnot. I don't have four-wheel drive, so I had one I bought last October. I got rid of it. It was a nightmare truck. So I just wanted to get out of it and get into something else. I ended up buying the first thing I found, which was two-wheel drive. So, but I'm not big on kitty littering or salting or sanding boat ramps to fish. If I can't get in and out, it's all right. You know, I'm 8 miles away. As long as it gets above freezing, I can get in the water. You know, I busted ice before to go. I'll bust ice again if I have to. That or I'll drive up to Thomas Hill or something like that. It's got warm water. You know, if it's below freezing, where I can catch a bear. If I go there, I can't film because they're leased out by the lake's leased by the conservation from the power plant. Can't film for YouTube on that lake. So, there. But yeah, so that's what's going on. I'm gonna talk about a little bit on Panfish Nation more likely, but also the 5th and 6th, I think it is. I can't look at my phone. This weekend, the Let's Go Fishing show in Collinsville, Illinois. I'll be up there. I plan on going up there Saturday. Van Stumper Jigs I'm on his pro staff. He's going to be up there and have a double booth set up, and he's developed a partnership kind of with Wild Willey's. Got them introduced. And he's going to have some signature colors from Wild Willey's OCD he's going to start having on his website, paired up with the new dwarf jig head that he's putting out. We've been fishing with it now since last fall. Me and Jason Kaiser, Strike 3 Fishing, and another guide out on the lake have been using this and really like the way they turned out. And I'm actually going to go up there Saturday. Next weekend is the plan. Plan on getting there around 9 or so. I'll be at the Thumper Jigs booth representing the OCD brand. Wild Willey's OCD brand there. You'll be easy to find. I'll have a jersey on with the big Wild Willey's OCD logo on it, my name and everything. So, but stop in, say hi. It's a good time to get some equipment. For spring, I know last year not last year, but the year before when I was there, working Thumper Jig booth with Jason and Van and Mark Hatcher and everybody, we were all there. I walked around. I bought a bunch of reels for $10, crappie reels. Nothing fancy, but they're for crappie. They don't need to be $100 reel for crappie. But they're the ones I use. But they were like $10 a piece. So I bought like 10, 15. I think I bought 10 of them. And then a couple friends wanted some, so I bought some for them too. But and there'll be new products there. It's a lot of, last time I was there, it was a lot of bass stuff. They had some catfish, a lot of boats, bass boats, catfish boats, both aluminum, fiberglass. And then they had Mondo Cat was there, Cat River Anchors was there, Bluff City Outdoors had a big booth there. I'm sure they'll be there again this year. But if you go to type in on your Google there, Let's Go Fishing Show, it's at the Collinsville Convention Center. They actually have a list of all the vendors and stuff that'll be there. So, and where they're at in relation to the building. They got a lot of stuff there. Fishing, they got some knife dealers and clothing dealers and like Like Tri-State Trolling Motor was there last year. I'm sure they're there again this year. You can buy everything from a boat all the way down to, you know, a hook. I mean, while you're there, I mean, a lot of them put on specials. They've got some seminars and stuff, you know, where certain people talk and whatnot on like a little stage and whatnot. So, but should be there Saturday. Like I said, I plan on getting there about 9. I'll probably be there till about 5 or so. You know, it just depends on what happens this week between now and then. But that's the plan. But yeah, I'm gonna cut this off. We got 8 people in here, but I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here and get back to doing something. I get to talking, I don't get no work done, see, or else I can talk and work. I don't know how you get anything done, Eric, when you stream, when you're tying. I was watching you the other day, and I never get anything done when I'm talking. Been sitting here, I probably done burn this up, not using it. It seems like when I get talking, I quit working. It's getting hot. Definitely getting hot. All right. All melted on there. Welded to it. Another one done. Seems more productive on talking. Really? Not me. I get talking, I forget where I put stuff down. I done lost my little piece of sandpaper. Oh, here it is. I get to talking, and then next thing I know, I'm not doing nothing. I'm just leaning back talking. It might be a little different though. You got the camera right in front of what you're working on. I notice most times they can see what you're doing. I've got mine set on tripod off to the side, so I don't knock it over. I'm moving between benches and stuff quite a bit. Do I have an address by chance? Tim, I do. It's a P.O. box. It's P.O. Box 141, Center, Missouri, C-E-N-T-E-R, Missouri. 63436 is the address that I have, that I use. But yeah, I don't. A lot of the people are kind of leery about giving out their addresses. I live in a small town, and you don't have a choice. I live too close to the post office, so I have to get a post office box. It's kind of crazy, I know, but we can't have a mailbox or anything, which kind of works out good to me because a lot of YouTubers they have to go get a P.O. box. I already have one, so it worked out fine for me. And you just, if you send something, just put Northeast Missouri Angler on it. It'll come to me. Or you can put, Dennis at Northeast Missouri Angler. But yeah, oh, this is tedious. What am I here? Talk about a pro staff position. Eric, I tell you, I am already on a pro staff for advanced thumper jigs, That's not to say, if somebody sends me something, I'm going to try it and I'm going to use it. If I like it, I use it. If I don't do exclusive. I'm not under contract with nobody. I won't do that. I was offered by a rod company that does rods, and they also do jig heads and some plastic bodies and whatnot. I was approached by them here last year, but they wanted me, I could only use their products in my videos. And Matt from Wild Willey's OCD contacted me a couple years ago. It's been a little over 2 years now. He watched my videos and he got a hold of me through email and said, hey, I'm a bait maker. Would you be interested if I sent you something? Would you try it? Would you be interested in trying it out? And of course, I've always said, if somebody wants to send me something to try out, I'll use it and I'll give a review of what I think on it. It's going to be an honest review though. If I don't like it, I'm going to say I don't like it. Because I would rather buy the stuff I like and use it than I would use it in a video just because to get something for free. That's not me. I'm real. You watch anything on my channel, it ain't always big fish. It ain't always proper etiquette. You know, I screw up. I'm a human. I do dumb stuff. When I say screw up, what I mean is I don't always do things, you know, I don't always have my life jacket on when I'm walking around in the boat fishing, you know. Occasionally, especially the early videos, I smoked in the video. I try not to do that now. I actually had, and that's a story too, I talked about this a little bit a couple years ago when I was on Lyle's show. I was at a hotel. I was working. I was cleaning the carpet at a hotel, and here at the lake, and there was a man come in and had his 2 kids with him, and the little kids, you know, I by no means have a YouTube channel trying to be famous. This got started, I make the sinkers and solo. People kept asking, how do we use them, and that's how the channel got started. If you notice, if you look, the first videos on my channel, they're how-tos. I think I did one down Salt River, and it was mainly just the first time out was in February. But the other videos are how-tos, how to rig, and then just showing how to fish with them. That's how it got started. And then I had somebody ask me if I crappie fish, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do all the time, you know. And they were like, why don't you show that? And I'm like, well, I don't really do, you know. I haven't really thought about it, you know. They're all catfish videos for the most part. So I made a couple crappie videos, and people really liked them, so I started filming some crappie too. And it gave me some content to put on when catfishing wasn't great. One thing about Mark Twain is there's not massive crappie in it, but you can always catch crappie. So I started posting them. Well, the kids came up to me and was like, oh, you're the guy on the YouTube we watch. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, nice to meet you, this and that, and whatnot. And the little one was probably 6, 7, the little boy, and the little girl's probably 10 or 11, you know, she's a couple years older. But the first thing out of their mouth after they introduced themselves to them, said they watched me on YouTube, was they go, you smoke. That's nasty. You know. So after that, I try not to post to smoke on my videos. But I'm a human being. My videos are for adults only. That's one of the things anybody does YouTube knows, you have to pick your audience. Mine are not for, my audience is not for kids, because I try not to cuss. I may let one slip every now and then when I'm on video, but I try to keep them as clean as I can because I know kids will watch them. And also, since that happened to me, you know, they cut. You know, if you got a YouTube channel, no matter what you say, you're influencing something. You know, so I don't want to be the one that kid sees doing that, and they start doing it because they think I'm cool and do it. Not that they should think I'm cool, but I don't want to be a bad example for somebody's kid. And I mean, I have a nephew, bless his heart. He's an awesome kid, great little fisherman. He's 8 years old, but I can look at him and tell him, "You smoke, I'll kick your butt." You know, and he knows that ain't good anyway. So, but and it's family. It's not that I'm trying to be all politically correct, because I'll tell you right now, my boat is not a safe place, a safe spot for anybody. I don't necessarily believe in safe spaces. If you either like me, you don't. I am who I am. And I'm not going to change for anybody, but maybe my wife. But I act how I act, and I say what I say, and I'm very opinionated and strong-willed. And I don't have a problem saying, if I see BS, I say BS. So, but no, get back. See, I get to rambling. That's why these end up being hours long instead of just 15 minutes. No, Eric. I mean, if you want to send something, I'd be happy to try it. But as far as pro staff, I feel like that'd be a conflict of interest to be a pro staff for two different jig manufacturers. But I'd be happy to try it and whatnot. I like your jigs. I like the way they look. A lot of my favorite colors for crappie on Mark Twain is a black and blue. And when I say black and blue, Van made me some hair jigs with my colors. I say black and blue, a black body with a blue tail. The jig head color, to me, I use a lot of gold, chrome, and like an orange flake is primarily in a pink. It's primarily the colors on the jig heads I use. This year, not as much as in prior years, but this year color doesn't seem to be a factor as much as the profile of the bait itself. Wild Willey's OCD has a bait called the Wabash. It's a newer bait that he just put out here not too long ago, and they absolutely love that profile right now. And we've been just hammering the fish on it. And Mark Twain, we haven't had any rain so low. We're 6 foot low and have been now for over a year. The water's clear. Normally Mark Twain's kind of murky. It's a mud puddle. It's not on a river system like the Ozarks and down there. It gets stained water, real dingy. And so color, usually to me, black, I've always used darker colors because of it. To me, the dirtier your water, the darker the bait you use, because it's easier for them to see. And the clearer it is, the brighter colors. This year with the water so clear, I've been using that bait, that Wabash design, and and I'll grab it here and show you all what I'm talking about. I'll let you see my shop. It is a mess, but there's the boat. I'll grab those dwarf jig heads too to show you all. Yep. see my dirty shop. But these are some of my favorite colors. If I find the one I'm looking for, I'm about out of them. Matt, if you're still here, that's all I got of those. Of that blue and black beat down. I think it's beat down. Yeah, this is the beat down. But Wild Willie's OCD makes these. They're called Wabash. And they're a, move this over here so you can really get a good look at it. They're a smaller bait. They're only inch and 1.6 inches, I think, is all they are. The body's only about a ½ inch. But that's what it looks like. See that right there? But that's what it looks like. But this color's been, it was doing pretty good. See, but look at the tail. I'm just holding it. I'm not shaking it at all. That's how much motion's in that tail. I'm rolling. That's all I'm doing. And man, they like that. And they've been just hammering this style. But it's got a longer tail. I bet the tail's an inch long. But that's one of the colors that I really like. The colors that we've been catching them on. This one is a minnow color. See that or not? Kind of a black with glitter. And then I think this is called black and blue. I don't know. From his other baits, I think he calls it, from his website, I was looking on it, it's black and blue LA, number 21. But, and then the other one I'm catching them on is, it's a kind of a snowflake color. I think it's called blue ice, black ice, or blue ice, white ice. It's that color. Now, I've caught them on all these, you know, colors. But one thing about his baits are they're UV. I'll show you here. Got a black light right here somewhere. Well, I can't find it. But they're UV baits, so when they're under black light, they really pop. And but that's the profile they've been wanting. Now, when this water cools down a little bit more, here's another one that we've used. I think he calls this monkey pukes a color, but it's all that Wabash style. I like the Willowtail design, and I like it for springtime and early fall that he has. It's called Slap Your Mama. Slap Your Mama is what he calls it. It's a Willowtail design. But I got a couple different jigs I'm using here with these baits. These baits are small, so I don't like a keeper on them. It tears them up too bad. But Vance Tupper Jigs makes a pillhead jig. And this is a 6, a number 6 hook on it. See how small that is. Give you an idea, a normal jig. Here's his normal 1/8 ounce pillhead jig right here. That's what, if you buy one of his hair jigs or whatever, or buy his jig heads in 1/8 ounce. Here's one here. That's a normal one. He started making these. This is the dwarf head, the dwarf pillhead. You can see the same size head. They're both 1/8 ounce, but the hook size. This is a number 2 hook. That's a number 6 hook. It's real small, and the reason he started making those was for the. I was using the Wacky Wigglers. Gave some to Jason because he hadn't had them. He hadn't got any of them yet. So Jason went to Van because he only had one jig head, so I didn't know jig heads to give him. So he went to Van, had Van, see if Van could make something for him, and then that's how it got started with him making them. But when the water starts cooling down and gets down into, right now it's still in the 40s. When it starts cooling down, that's when we'll start using these waggy wigglers. And here's the blue. These are little bitty baits. They're only, I think they're right at an inch and an eighth maybe or something. But they're little bitty. I mean, little. Quarter. And of course he's got all different colors of these. He's got, here's the minnow color. That's the minnow color. Behind it is, I think it's supposed to be the red, the glitter. Of course he's got the yellow and black. And here's some orange and purple one, orange ones, yellow, bluegrass color. But they're little baits. To show you how little they are here, I'll get one out and put it on a quarter. But they're tiny. I'll tilt this camera here so you can see. But that's how little that bait is on a quarter. Yep, I'm gonna drop it. But it is a tiny, tiny little bait with that tail. Here's a quarter. That's how little they are. And that's why he developed this head. Here's that jig and hook on it on a quarter. The quarter covers it up. That's how small I'm using. And this works good. Now he makes these are 6s. These are the first ones he made for me. They do have them in a 4 size hook too. 2 different sizes. One's just a touch bigger than the other one there. See that? It's hard to show this stuff with not having a background. So I've got some of those. And that's what I've been using, is the one with this orange crush head. See that or not? Kind of a glittery, orange glitter powder coat on it. But then also the gold nuggets, what they call it. The gold. That's the 2 primary colors. Another one that's been using is the stone. They call it stone. But yeah, but the main design with those was for these. Yeah, they're made in Stoutsville, Missouri. Is where they're made at. It's by Route U boat ramp, just past it. It's actually right next to the secondary boat ramp on Route U, the secondary ramp. You turn to go down to that secondary ramp. His driveway's right across from that boat ramp. Yeah, but he's known for his that's the jig heads. The bait, the Wild Willey's OCD's out of Iowa. He's out of Iowa. This is out of Iowa, Van Stumper Jigs. And you go to wildwilleysocd.com and you can buy any of these baits. I think they're $4 a package. I think the wigglers, don't quote me on this, I could be wrong, but I think you get 20 of the wigglers for $4. I think the other one you get 12 or 15. I don't know. If Matt's still on here, he can type in what you get, how much they are. But that's Wild Willey's OCD for the plastics. As far as jig heads go, it's vanstumperjigs.com is where you can get. I don't know if he has these on his website yet. I think they're waiting until the Collinsville show to bring them onto the website, on his website. But his hair jigs and whatnot is on the website, and some of his regular standard jig heads I know is on there. But he ties hair jigs, is the main thing. Last year down in Mississippi, he went to a tying competition and he won first place in the competition. So I mean, but I use other, like I said, Eric talked about other stuff. Here's another small jig head right here. I had these give to me to try. These are 16th ounce pill head, and this one is a number 6, but they're the steelhead hooks. They don't bend at all. And this is actually a number 12 hook. It's a little bitty hook on a 16th ounce head. The head looks huge for that. But it's for those little baits. These are made by JB's Custom Jigs. I think he's out of somewhere down by St. Charles, maybe. But, and I could be wrong on that. And if I am, Jesse, I'm sorry. But I had a friend that is on his pro staff. He gave me some of these to try. And I haven't used them yet, but I've got them. They're right here. I've got like 8 of them. I got some pink ones and some orange ones, 2 pink ones and some orange ones to try. I haven't lost a jig yet since I've got them and tie them on. So, but I'm definitely going to try them. It's not that I'm unhappy or not satisfied with thumper jigs and Van. Somebody gives me something, I'm going to try it, you know. But yeah. But that's what we've been using here lately, and just been hammering fish. But yeah, and then I've switched rods. I used to use B&M, and that I had some issues with that. So a friend of mine is a pro staffer and a authorized retailer for H&H. So for crappie, I used it last year, beginning of the year. This whole year I've used it. I've been using the H&H War Pig rod from H&H Rods. I love the rod. One thing I will say about it, B&M makes some affordable stuff the quality's good. There's nothing wrong with them. And for the money, your average guy can afford them. And not have a ton of money wrapped up in them. And they'll catch fish. I mean, pretty much any rod you buy nowadays is going to be, if it's over $20, is going to be a decent amount to catch fish on. Especially crappie. Crappie, you don't need heavy gear or high dollar gear. But I was using the West Point rod from B&M in 12 footer, and I had 10 footer too. And I had an issue where I caught a catfish, and it was about a pound and a half. And I went to boat flip it, and when I did, it busted. So I went and bought another one. You know, no big deal. They're $29, $30 rods. And I went and bought another one, and was out fishing, and I caught a crappie, and it was probably close to 2 pounds. And when I went to boat swing it, that one busted. And when that happened, that told me they had done something. They changed them or whatnot, and they have changed something in their composite and I just stopped using them. And then I said something to Kenny Wilkinson, Wilkie's Guide Service. I fish with him every now and then. We go out fishing when he don't have guide trips and when I don't have guide trips. And he had switched to H&H. He was using the Jinko rods, which are good rods, but he had switched to H&H, and I'd use those. And I knew he always said, if you want one, get a hold of me, I'd sell them. So I got a hold of him. They're not cheap. For the cost of an H&H War Pig, I could buy about 6 B&Ms I was using. But I know the type of fishing he does, and as much fishing as he does, and the quality of fish that he catches, I knew they could handle what I wanted without any issues. So I ended up getting a rod from him, and I absolutely love it. I'm going to get a couple more of them. but it's been the only crappie rod I've been using because I mainly single pole with live scope anyway. Now, as far as for catfishing, I was using the B&M Silver Cat Elite, and I still have 7 or 8 of them over there. But and I like them. But the problem I have with them is I got spray paint. Is the only thing. And everybody says, why'd you paint the rods? Well, I paint them because when I fish at night, I use black lights. And makes the rods glow so you can see them and don't attract so many bugs. So I had to spray paint the B&Ms. So this year, this last spring, I switched. I went and bought Mad Cats and went to using all Mad Cats this year. Yeah, I seen Outlaw Rods when I was there a couple years ago. Give me just a minute and I'll show you something. You'll know why I don't change rods very often. I got a garage too besides this. And I got stuff stacked in there. Take you on a little trip here, Eric. Just see why. There ain't too many types of rods I don't have. Oh, you can see that or not. Here's 60 here. These are the ones I got on a stand. Now keep in mind, I got them leaned up everywhere too. Catfish rods. There's Mad Cat's rods all over here. But I've got a little bit of everything. I've got Lew's. I've got B&M. I've got Ozark, which are good rods, but they're a pricier rod too. And I have a couple of custom rods that are custom built for me, crappie rods. They're back here. They have my name in them and a little crappie and everything. I've got some Zepco. I've got a Jinko, a couple of them. What's this one here? That's a Tony Edgar. That's an Ozark 8-footer. I've got a couple. I don't know what brand they are because they're custom rods. Like this one here. It's a 15-footer, but it don't have any brand because it was custom made. They gave it to me, so it was sent to me, and I don't remember who it was now, but it's too heavy. If you're out on the water for 5 hours and you got all that rod out there in front of you, pretty soon right in here starts hurting you. Shoulder hurts when you're trying to yank it. It's a good rod. I like the way the rod feels. But for my style of fishing, it's too heavy a rod. To where like at H&H, even though it's 13.5 foot, it's really, really light. I don't know if it's a carbon fiber rod or not. I didn't look at that close. But I know when I was at Collinsville, they had some carbon fiber rods there. And I don't remember who it was, whose rods they were. But they were like, for us, 12-foot rod weighed like 9 ounces or something. It's crazy. And I got a friend, he swears by ACCs. And they seem like good rods, but I just can't get them locally here. Nobody carries them. And a lot of times when you buy just 1 or 2 rods, shipping kills you. I can get them H&H rods at Perry or from Kenny Wilkinson actually sells them. Wilkins Guide Service. That's I got mine from. He sells them too. So. Yeah, I mean that's the only thing about the H&H, and I mean they've got cheaper rod. I mean that's their signature series, their granddaddy rod. You know, I mean B&M, you can buy B&M crappie rods that are $150. You know, I was using the cheap West Point. That's the cheapest one. You know that they make. You got it and them Bano reels, which I can't stand them. I give all mine to Kenny because he uses them with clients when I get them. But them reels like that, you just pull the line out on. You hold the line and the rod in one hand, the line in the other, or whatever. I don't like them. I put spinning reels on all mine. So, but you could buy that's what that came off of, was one of the B&M West Points, that Bano reel. You buy the rod and the reel, a 12-foot rod, for like $39, you know. And I just take the reels off of them, give them away. But yeah, when it broke though, if it couldn't haul in a 1.5 pound, 2 pound fish, without breaking. That's a flaw somewhere. Because the old one, I got an old one. It's 10 foot. I flipped 4-pounders in the boat with it, no problem. But something about that 12 foot that they changed, you know, something in them 2 feet, something in that blank changed. And it didn't break right at the tip. It broke about 2 foot back, 2.5 foot. Yeah, I mean they're good rods. I got a 12-footer on the boat now. It's B&M. It's a backup, and but it's the first one I bought. And it's like 10 years old. And the last two that broke, one of them was about a year old. The other one was maybe 4 weeks, maybe a month. And I emailed them but never got no response. Which I find, you know, unusual, because when I ordered my tournament jerseys and stuff, I emailed them and asked them for permission to use their logo, you know, on my jersey. For my tournament jerseys, I was using all B&M rods, you know, the Catfish line and stuff. They emailed me right back, said no problem, be happy to, you know, please do, you know. But when that rod broke, I didn't get no response. And that's kind of one reason. I went a different direction with the Catfish rods. Is because of what happened with that crappie rod. You know, not getting. They didn't even take the time to say, you know, we're sorry, you know, but it's that quality rod, you know, is just what it is, or, you know, we're sorry that happened to you, you know, if you want to send us the rod, we'll take a look at it, maybe give you a new one, or if it can be fixed, fix it, or whatever the case may be, you know, or we'll give you a discount on another one or something. I couldn't even get we're sorry it happened, you know, being that I only had it I got it 3 weeks. Only had it like 3 weeks. It was the second time I used it. I know that. It was brand new. And I don't mean to bash the company. B&M makes some good rods. They do. They make some good stuff. Like I said, I got 7 of Silver Cat Elite sitting over there that I use for if friends are coming with me or something and I need more than 8 rods, you know. They're my backup. They're not as heavy as the Mad Cat rods I bought are medium heavies, and I think the Silver Cats are medium. They might be medium heavy, but if they are, they got a more flexible blank to them. I like them for. We're gonna go out and catch a channel cat on stink bait. I like them. But for anything big, the Mad Cat rod definitely. But you catch fish on all of them. You know, one of the most durable, best rods out there And I've used them, but I just don't. I don't like them because of the black light situation. I have to paint them. Is the tangling with the TWC Whisker Whip rod for catfishing. You can't break them. I mean, they got that video where they shut that one in the tailgate of that truck, slam that tailgate 4 or 5 times on the tip, and the tip don't even break, and then they grab a hold of it and bend it around in a horseshoe. That's nuts. To do that to any rod. And they're cheap. I think I looked at them at Collinsville. They were like $47 or something for the Whisker Whips at Collinsville at that Let's Go Fishing show. That was 2 years ago, and that's a special price for the show. But I don't think they're much over that. I don't think they're much higher than that anyway. You know, that's something I see people get hung up on all times. They see somebody that's got the high dollar stuff, you know. The example I give all the time, you know, there's tons of cats. You know, you got Hellcats, Mad Cats, you know, all kinds of cats, you know, on the rods. But that Hellcat rod, that, you know, you see somebody and they got that Patriot rod that they put out, it's like $100 and some, you know, I think it's 129 or something. You see somebody and they got, you know, like 8 of them hanging off their boat. They see them and think they got to go buy all that, you know, and they got, all of them got Abu Garcia silver rockets or catfish specials on them that are $250, $300 a reel, you know. And they got about $250 to $300 per rod sitting there. And somebody sees them and think they can't. They see them fishing with them and, oh, they're catching all these big fish. You got to have this equipment to catch these big. No, you don't. I've got some Eagle Claw rods over there. I gave $9 for about 10 years ago with 808 Zepcos on them that I've pulled in 30 to 40 pound fish on without any problem whatsoever. It's just creature comforts on that gear. I don't have a crappie reel. I think I paid more $19.99 for. I know Piscifun's got that Carbon X. I've been looking at them. But there again, I like their Chaos XS for catfishing. I've got a couple of them. I mainly use Kast Kings on my catfish rods. Them Rovers. They're cheap. They're durable. I haven't had no problems out of them. If they break, and I do want to fix them myself, you can just buy parts for an Abu. You know, I mean, it's the same. They're interchangeable. But that Piscifun got that Carbon X. And I like the way it looks. And I don't think it's that expensive. But I was all set. Dad's boat, on that new Pro Cat, he bought rods, you know, when he started fishing here a couple of years ago for catfish. He bought all Ozark catfish rods. Of course, they don't make them no more because Edgar sold the company, the catfish division, off, and it started his own called Edgar Rods. It used to be, Tony Edgar used to have Ozark Rod Company, sold that, and started Tony Edgar Rods again, Edgar Rods. But bought the original yellow Ozark rods. He bought 6 or 8 of those, and then he bought all the PC Chaos reels for them. And I've emailed Piscifun to find out, you know, if I could use their logo on their jerseys for a tournament, and they never got back with me. I tried 2 or 3 times and they never got back with me, so I just went to Kast King. I like the Chaos reel, but if they won't respond to an email, what if you have a problem? You know, how they respond to you. I mean, it's one thing, and I'm not bashing. I like their equipment. If the price is right on them reels, like I said, I got 3 of them I use regularly. I've never had an issue with them. In my opinion, they're actually a better reel than the Rover, the Kast King's Rover. If they would put a power handle on that Kast King Rover at the same price point as that Piscifun Chaos reel, it hands down I'd use the Rover, you know, the Kast King. But the Rover, the Kast King does not come with a power handle. It's just got a crank handle, and it's a fairly heavy one. Where the Piscifun comes with that power handle, and anybody that's fish catfish and catches anything, you know, 15, 20 pounds and over, that power handle's is nice on them bigger fish. If you're catching channel cat, smaller blues, smaller flatheads, you know, in that 5, 7 pound range, it isn't a big deal. But when you start getting in them bigger fish, that power handle, it makes it a lot nicer fishing, you know, bringing bigger fish into that power handle. Power handle and a long handle on the rod for catfish rods, and a metal reel seat. Yeah, that's what I said. Them Rovers, I love them. I use 60s is what I use. But that power handle on it, and you can buy the aftermarket ones. They have them aftermarket ones. Dieter Melhorn made a video here a while back showing them. He put them on his rods. They're like $20 on Amazon, or you can get them from them. They're about the same price, but they're like a metal power handle. But at the same time, when you figure you buy that Rover, and I think I just bought one the other day. Amazon, they put them on sale every now and then on Amazon for like $40, and I always buy them when they come on sale. You can only get one when they do it, but they had Prime Deal days or whatever for Christmas. They had them for like $40 with free shipping, you know, and I bought a couple just to have. But by the time you buy that and then you buy the power handle, you know, you're up to, you know, $60. Might as well just buy a reel that has a power handle if you want it. For durability wise, because I mean, Piscifun, I think I gave $58 for those, the Chaos 60s with the power handle. And I'm sure Kast King, they buy, you know, they sell enough of that stuff and move enough of it, they could probably put a power handle on there for $10 more, and give the option, you know, make it to where it has a power handle straight from Kast King. Because they do such a quantity of them, you know, they can get it volume. Kind of like Piscifun does, you know. They move enough of it. They do same price, basically, as the Piscifun one. Oh, Sean, oh, okay. Yeah, boat's looking good though, Sean. Seen the pictures you posted there. It was last night or night before. You about got the consoles done. One thing I would do on them consoles, though, I noticed on your sides, you know, is you had a flange on there sitting on the side of the boat. I figured that's just there holding it. But in the front of that, where it's boxed up in the front and your windshield sits along in the top, I'd take and cut that corner off and put a triangle, you know, to round that a little bit. Because I'm telling you what, you get to fight, you know, doing something up there, you scrape your elbow or arm or something on that back of that console where it's square, where it's squared off. I'd figure out a way to round that bad boy somehow. But yeah, it's looking good, buddy. I know I'm ready for spring already. I am ready for March. Ready for March, go fish that big tournament down there on Wheeler. Take out the new Pro Cat, newer Pro Cat anyway, 2024. Take that on that big water, see how heinous. I think that tournament's the 20th, if I remember right. That invitational tournament, down there at Decatur. I know I called the book hotel, and I booked a hotel room the night of the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. Because I want to go down, leave here, basically, I'm going to drive down at night. Probably leave here, get up about 4 o'clock in the morning on the 15th, or 15th, and, or 16th, and then drive all the way down there, and then fish a little bit, fish 17th, 18th, 19th, and then the tournament, I think it's the 20th, and then fish the tournament, and then spend the night, and then drive back the 21st. That's what I want to do anyway. They haven't ordered open registration last I knew yet, but I know they posted the final date was, I think, the 20th. It'd be nice to find somebody else going down from up here, kind of travel together in case one of us has a problem. I don't know if Lee Sutter's going down this year or not. A couple guys from Mexico, I can't remember their name now, but they usually fish it. They got a Pro Cat, and they fished it last year. I know because I was talking to him at that last tournament we were at there in September, and he was telling me about it, telling Dad and I about it. I don't know if they're going down or when they're going down, if they're going down. But yeah. You know, when is that? I don't know when that tournament is. I seen something about it. If I do, I'll probably see if a buddy of mine can go with us, Dad, if we have 3 people. Because I haven't fished Truman that much. What I have fished, it's all been around Buckshaw. And we didn't go very far. And we were mainly down there snagging, and then, you know, we got our snag our fishing, and we went out and did some crappie fishing on docks and stuff. But I don't know. I don't know enough about that lake to go do it. May 18th. Ooh, I don't know if I could make that one or not. It's going to be tight for me. I know I got something going on right around that. So I don't know if I could make that one or not. That'd be pushing it, I think. I just had to look on my calendar. You know how much that tournament is? Does it say how much entry is? Yeah, it kind of depends on what I got going on, how much the entry fee is. Go to water you don't know at all, hardly. To fish a tournament, you're gambling unless you get some time to fish, you know, pre-fish it. And I know that week I'm not going to be able to go down and pre-fish at all. It'll be a drive down, fish the tournament, drive back home at night. But that's like that invitational in Decatur for the Sea Invitational Cat Tournament. That's why I want to go down and fish for 4 or 5 days beforehand. Try to learn the lake a little bit, and I got a couple people that hopefully I can grab one of them that live down there and fish it a lot. That I know they're not fishing in the tournament, so get them to take me out and show me some spots. Do a little phone fishing. That's what I call that. Call up somebody and say, hey, help me out. A little phone fishing. Get me started somewhere. As far as crappie on Truman on a tournament, I'd say I got a friend that's won quite a few tournaments down there for crappie, so I'd probably just invite him along. Rather than go down there and go blind, and figure it out. A lot of different fishing down there than it is up here. about night and day, about like the catfishing is between up here and down there, I think. Yeah, see, that's like, yeah. That's what I mean. It's, you're fishing against the guys that are on the water down there like I am up here. They know every twig, brush pile, you know. That's there, so they know where the fish are, what they're doing, what they're not doing. I mean, I got some friends down there, but you know, it's one of the things to where if I'm one of them people, you can tell me exactly where you're fishing, exactly what you're using, all that, and tell me to go there, and I can go there, and I cannot catch the fish. I have a horrible time catching somebody else's fish. So I usually don't ask much more. I got some friends that I usually just kind of ask them what are the structure are they on and how deep are they running and what color are you using. Other than that, I don't want to know anything else. I don't need to know what arm you're on or how deep you're catching them. Just kind of where you seeing fish, where should I start? Give me a starting point, And after that, I'll find them. That and I'm that type of person. I don't mind helping somebody find some fish if they're struggling. But damn, I don't want to have to go out and catch them for you too. I think that's the guide part of it. If you want me to go out there and tell you exactly where to go and exactly how to catch them, just pay me and I'll take you out there. That's one thing if it's a buddy asking, But how we get asked all the time, around the lake. I get asked all the time, what are you catching on? Okay, that's what I'm catching on. I ain't gonna lie, I'll just tell you what I'm catching on. How deep are they? Okay, I'll share that. I don't have a problem sharing that. Well, where'd you catch them fish at? On that color, about that far down in the water. Now, I do share in some of the videos, I'm over here on Little Indian, or I'm over here at Big Indian, or I'm over at Ely, or Sandy Creek, or whatever, North Fork. But I'm not going to tell you exactly where I am. If you're familiar with the lake, you'll figure it out just from the background. If it's some of my videos, I specifically try to make sure I don't show what's behind me that has any real distinguishing characteristics, because it's a public water. And inevitably, if you're catching a bunch of fish, nice fish, you'll show up a couple days later and I've posted one video, I told them exactly where it was, just because there's no hiding. And I was catching some really good fish. And the next day I decided I'd go back out there, and there was 9 boats. I went home, edited the video, posted the video like on a Friday afternoon, and Saturday morning when I went out, there was at 9 o'clock in the morning I got out there. On the next day, I posted the video at like 7 o'clock that afternoon on Friday night, the night before. And when I got out there at 9 o'clock Saturday morning, there was literally 9 boats in that little area where I was. So I quit staying where I am when I'm catching good fish and I want to go back pretty quick. If they figure it out, that's fine. It's a public waterway. I ain't gonna rip nobody's butt. You're fishing in my spot when I pull up. Unless I know them and just giving them a hard time, but I'd tell them where I was anyway if I knew them. You know, but there was one day, that day I was like, wow, really? Because I mean, there was enough room for 2, maybe 3 boats, but they had 9 boats in the little area I was in. And it was like, oh my God, which was kind of funny because I went right in there with them, you know, and all the fish were gone. And they were about 300 yards away from where everybody was. The fish had moved. And I moved out to the other spot I knew that was about 300, 400 yards away. And that's where they had moved to. And I sat right there about 40 minutes and was heading back to the boat ramp with, you know, limited fish. Nice fish. But to where if they just would have moved around, but they watched that video and seen how I caught them right where I was. They were caught a few fish, but it wasn't what it was because there was thousands of crappie down there when I did that video. They had moved about 300-400 yards away. Same pattern, just moved. And I had to laugh because, you know, I pull up and they're like, hey, you know, boy, these fish sure aren't here today. It's like, well, probably not. You know, yesterday was cloudy and kind of windy. Today, this morning's bluebird skies and dead calm. I'm sure they've moved a little bit. One more. I've gotten something done while I'm talking. All right. This is the last one I'm doing today. That's that. That's the last one I'm doing today. That's 40 of them. I'm going to put the base coat on them. Hang them up. Start airbrushing on them tomorrow. We've got 2 people in here. Little sandpaper action. Good. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. They rattle. Ready for paint. Just a little loud. Those 40 are ready. Oh, dang, thought I had, I ordered 1,000 of them things. Come in 10 boxes of 100. Of course, they all come from China, just like everything. Don't even try to hide it. Box you got Chinese on it. Those are ready for paint. Get that painted up. the base coat on them tonight. Start airbrushing them tomorrow. Yeah, I had somebody come in. I got one in my pocket. That's about it I got. Alright, well, I'm going to shut this off. I skipped over lunch, so I think I'm going to go in, have me a snack, get me some more to drink. I'm about out of drink. But yeah, thanks for tuning in if you're still here. If you just joined, we've talked about a lot of stuff over the last couple hours. Just a quick wrap up here before I do log out. 7 p.m. Wednesday night, day after tomorrow. Panfish Nation on YouTube. I'll be the guest speaker on there, and the Let's Go Fishing show at Collinsville this coming weekend. I think it's the 5th, whatever the weekend is, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever it is. I have plans on being down there in the Thumper Jigs booth. Probably about 9 o'clock, around 9 o'clock Saturday morning. I'll probably be there until 3 to 4 in the afternoon. So at Collinsville, at the Let's Go Fishing show in Collinsville, Missouri. So with that, I'm going to shut this down and call it for this one. Take it easy, everybody.